colonization and intermarriage meant much greater interaction with neighboring peoples and the opportunities to learn new technologies. They thus powered a huge expansion in Greek wealth between the 8th and 6th centuries BC, the era known as the Archaic period. By every index, prosperity seems to have risen rapidly. Life expectancy shot up, and health and diet improved, as indicated by dental conditions and heights of surviving skeletons. Houses grew in size. The mainland Greek population seems to have doubled. During this period, Greece reacquired literacy and borrowed from its neighbours many of the distinctive cultural features for which it is known today: temples, statues, painted ceramics, and epic poetry. The most significant characteristic of all was the development of a new mode of social organization, the city-state. By the 8th century BC, we can see the first signs of the emergence of the polis, the root of the English political, policy, and police. The polis, at least the larger variety, would gradually develop a particular form, which followed wherever Greek culture went. It would typically have city walls separating the urban hub from the agricultural hinterland, an acropolis, high polis, or citadel, a temple associated with a presiding deity, a water supply, and areas of shared space devoted to different kinds of communal activity: commercial, religious, political, juridical, recreational. In the course of the Archaic period, the larger polis would come to be adorned with the stunning marble architecture that we now think of as typically Greek, with its troops of columns, its pediments, its triglyphs, metopes, and friezes. And most of all, acres of writing. The Greeks of the polis inscribed their laws, decisions, and offerings on stone, presenting the ancient viewer with the powerful impression of an ordered, civilized community, and the modern viewer an invaluable record of their values and priorities. The culture of the polis was financed by international trade and colonization. Greece was ideally placed to exploit the opportunities opened up by long-distance sea trade, and not just geographically. The new trading economy was powered not by large bureaucratical imperial powers, but by the enterprise of individuals and smaller communities. The absence of political centralization worked to Greece's advantage, stimulating competition between states in both technological innovation and the exploitation of overseas markets. Competition was also stimulated during the Archaic period by external rivals, chiefly the Phoenicians, who similarly benefited from a non-centralized city-state structure. The Canaanite inhabitants of Tyre and Sidon, in modern-day Lebanon, were a highly developed, skilled, literate people who spoke a Semitic language not too distant from Hebrew. By the 11th century BC, they were trading with Cyprus. In fact, it was probably they who founded Larnaca, the modern capital. By the late 10th, they were in Crete too. Within 100 years, their reach had extended to Sardinia and modern Tunisia. In time, their taste for precious metals took them as far west as mineral-rich Spain and to the Tin Islands in the Atlantic, often rather fancifully identified with the British Isles. By the early first millennium BC, the Phoenicians had turned the entire Mediterranean into a trading network, or at least an interrelated complex of multiple networks. Silver, for example, could be mined in Spain, worked in Greece, then sold in the Levant. Archaic Greece was formed by interaction with its eastern and southern neighbours. It was the Phoenicians who inspired the Greek adoption of the script still in use today. The letter Aleph was originally named in Phoenician and its predecessors for its resemblance to an ox, while Beth means house. The Greeks took over these signs as Alpha and Beta, and so the alphabet was born. This kind of mimetic adoption of others' technologies, for alphabetic writing is indeed a technology, is typical of Greek practice of the era. Greece was not European in the sense that we understand the word today. It found itself in a vibrant Eastern Mediterranean trading bloc, with strongest cultural links to Egypt, the Levant, and Anatolia, Turkey, whose western seaboard they populated in such wealthy